I was having a drink with a few colleagues at work when colleague A suddenly asked, "What part of the human body scares you the most?" Co-worker B said, "Scary parts? Like the eyes. I get scared when a guy stares at me." Co-worker C replies, "It might be scary if you feel someone's eyes on you or something." Co-worker A paused for a moment and then said, "I'm afraid of the top of my head." For a moment, laughter ensues. I replied, "Sure, I'm afraid it will be as shiny as the top of Mr. Y's head in the General Affairs Department," and made fun of my co-worker A. Co-worker A continues talking with a grin and a thin smile on his face. Co-worker A said, "Yeah, that's scary too, but what can I say? Wouldn't it be scary to have the top of your head in an impossible place?" Everyone, a moment later, they don't seem to understand the meaning. Co-worker A said, "For example, wouldn't it be scary if there was the top of a human head in the gap between the train and the station platform?" He said something strange. I replied, "That's scary," imagining the scene. Co-worker C asks, "Why would it be on a place like that?" Asks a perfectly natural question. From there, co-worker A started telling a hair-raising tale. One night, on my way home from work, I was waiting for my train on the station platform for my transfer train, as I always do. The train slipped in just then. The train was an express train that was not supposed to stop at the station and was supposed to pass through the station at breakneck speed. However, the sound of sharp emergency braking echoed throughout the station. At the same time as the sounds, I saw something I shouldn't have seen. Someone had jumped towards the train. It was suicide. It was horrific. The person who jumped into the train was not simply bounced off the train, but was caught in a gap between the train car and the platform, scraped by the train car at breakneck speed, and then thrown off the platform, spinning violently like a washing machine in the middle of dehydration. Blood sprayed everywhere, from the first to the last car off the train. A train stopped due to emergency braking. The whistle was blowing loudly. On the platform, many people standing on the side of the tracks were splattered with blood, and there were crying women, fainting people, and a hellish scene of screaming. The train doors in front of me did not open, and the passengers inside were looking at the window to see what was going on. Blood splattered on all the windows as well, so the passengers inside must have known what had happened. All of them were pale. There was a small crowd at the end of the train. I was just there and once again saw something I should not have seen. A human head is wedged in the gap between the train and the platform. The human's wet hair is shaken as if after a bath. Of course, it didn't happen in the shower. It is reddish black and wet with its own blood. And unbelievably, several people on the platform other than myself were pointing their smartphones at the corpse, which was apparently dead instantly, and taking pictures. The conductor at the end of the train looks down through the window with a blue-black face. The conductor cannot open the door because there is a dead body's head there. The conductor, with a look of mixed nerves and upset, said, "Get back, get back, get back, what are you doing?" He shouted at the people crowding the platform. The conductor's yell rang out, and from a distance, other station staff began running in droves to remove the onlookers who were in the way. They were forced to move away from the bodies, but there was still hell to pay on the station platform. The number of station staff needed on site, but it wasn't enough. The rescue team has not come yet. Around me, people on the station platform were giving first aid to each other, such as putting people who had passed out due to shock to sleep on benches. Rescue teams arrived a short time later, and rescue operations began with crews descending to the bottom of the tracks and stretchers carrying people who were sick. The accident scene was finally covered with blue sheets, and everyone was told to leave the platform, including me. But the scene was in full view from another platform. I watched for a while from another station platform. All the station staff and rescuers, probably to retrieve the bodies, were pushing and tilting the cars from the platform side. I was stuck with anxiety and doubt, wondering if they would be able to retrieve the bodies with that thing. In front of me, the train is shaking. I became more and more concerned. Isn't that crushing the corpse's head even more? After a while, the blue sheets began to move. Apparently, they were able to retrieve the body. Once again, the full view of the train stopped at the platform looks like a train with a red line design. Of course, that is not the design, but the splattered blood. Right in front of me, the station staff began to hastily wipe down the car with buckets of water and rags. Those station staff are in a very hurry for some reason and are cleaning up appropriately. Eventually, the station staff began to withdraw to sea after the cleanup was complete, and soon the train began to move slowly. Someone said, "What? They're going to let it run?" He was surprised. The other guests around me seemed anxious. The express train left the station, but not all the blood had been removed. From the first car to the last, there were faint marks that looked as if they had been wiped with a rag. The metal bars between the cars still had blood splatters on them, as if people had been slammed into them. The window sills of the train were still dripping blood along with water. Someone whispered out, "When that train arrives at the next station, there will be a fuss on the platform." I thought so too, as I took the next delayed train home. The station platform was still splattered with blood everywhere. Co-worker A's story ended, and eventually the drinking party came to an end, and we left the tavern after splitting the bill. Co-worker A, who had told me such an unpleasant story, looks awfully pale, as if he's having a flashback. We were just crossing the bridge over the river when all of a sudden a guy from co-worker A started screaming. Suddenly, co-worker A said, "Ah, ah, look, it's a drowned body." He sticks his finger towards the river. Surprised by the suddenness of the situation, we said, What? Where is it?" In a panic. Co-worker A says, "Look, there it is. I see a human head. I can see the top of the human head on the surface of the water." he continued to shout in a frenzy. A shouted, and everyone searched the surface of the river, but no matter how hard they looked, they could not find anything like that. A excitedly takes out the phone with trembling hands. Co-worker A asks, "Police? Emergency?" "No, it's the police. Call the police. He's making a fuss alone." "Whoa," co-worker A suddenly exclaimed when he saw the smartphone screen, and surprisingly threw the phone to the ground. I picked up co-worker A's phone and suddenly looked at the screen. The screen of the phone showed the bloody top of the head caught between the train and the platform. I guess that the person who was taking pictures of the dead body in earlier scary story was in fact my co-worker A. When my eyes met A's, he turned around and quickly went over the parapet of the bridge. Co-worker A exclaims, "I'm going this time. Unless I go there, it's not over." As it was, co-worker A went crazy and jumped into the river. We immediately called the police and emergency services arrived, but about an hour later, the top of A's head was found floating in water downstream, and his body was pulled up. The search ended that day. After all, another drowned body, which co-worker A had exclaimed to have seen before jumping in, was never found. We all have no idea why co-worker A suddenly jumped in, but we wonder if he was pressed by something about taking the picture. Now I don't know anything more.